Welcome to a new episode of Retail Payment IO. It's a podcast about payment, e-commerce, and technologies behind modern digital retail. Today, I'm going to walk you through the full architecture behind Agentic Commerce, the technology that lets an AI agent shop and pay on your behalf. My presentation about agentic commerce is summed up in the headline. Clear insights, simply explained, easy to grasp. Agentic commerce looks complicated, and it is made complicated by some companies, but it is actually simple because it is modular. Every job is handled by its own dedicated layer. I broke it down to only 6 layers. You will find explanations with much more layers and some with even less layers. And the layers snap together cleanly. We will go through all 6 layers, then trace a single purchase from start to finish, and close with 3 summary slides that tie it all together up. So, let's start with the stack as a whole. Here is the entire stack on one slide. 6 layers, each different color, stacked from the user at the top down to the settlement at the bottom. The names on the right are real. They are published standards and products. Most of them announced between 2024 and even earlier on this year. The key point, no single company owns the whole stack. Each layer is on its own a standard, and they are deliberately designed to interoperate. Let's take them one at a time from top to bottom. Layer 1 is where everything begins, the user and the application. This is a person who wants something the AI agent to do and to purchase on their behalf. Use either at this level an application like or chatbot like Claude, ChatGPT, Gemini, or even a voice assistant. This layer has exactly one job: to capture your intent, what the person actually wants to buy. At layer 2 is the connectivity layer, the Model Context Protocol, or MCP. You certainly or most probably have heard about this one. It's important to notice that Anthropic published MCP as an open standard in November 24, and it was handed over to the Linux Foundation. Now it's generally vendor neutral, open public. And the simplest way to think about MCP is a standard connector for agent. What it provides is the ability for an agent to discover what the merchant offers, e.g. inventory, services, or whatever. The commerce logic rides on top of it, and that's the next layer. That's the commerce protocol layer. Layer 3 is where the commerce is actually defined. The protocol that says how an agent browses the catalog, builds a cart, and checks out. Both layers, layer before and this layer, are open standards. And importantly for retailers, the merchant stays the merchant of record. The merchant keeps the customer relationship, the pricing, and of course the fulfillment. These commerce protocols run inside MCP servers. They are used by MCP pipe from the layer below. And there are 3 or a couple of different commerce protocols. The most common one and most used one is UCP from Google, but OpenAI has their own protocol at this level. It's called ACP, and you may have heard both of them, and there are other protocols around. But basically, this is the layer 3, and this layer has the intention, respectively, the the task what I explained. And then comes the layer 4, the payment authorization protocol. Layer 4 is answering the hardest question in agentic commerce. How do we prove the human actually authorized the purchase and that the agent is not a fraud bot? This layer proves consent. It does not move the money. This happens on the next layer. And now we are at layer 5, almost through the 6 layers. And these are the payment rails. Mastercard and Visa predominantly currently. Layer 5 is where the money is actually moved. The payment networks. And here Mastercard and Visa have made generally different bets. They both have different specifications. And I talk you through in a separate slide later on about what really the difference between both is. For now, the takeaway is simple. This is a layer that runs an authorization intent, which was given, it's a layer before, layer 4, into an actual charge, into a payment. And you know this process very well. This is a standard payment process at layer 5. Excuse me. And then we are already at layer 6, the last layer. Layer 6, where everything that happens after payment is done. The network settles the funds between the banks, the merchant ships the product, does the tracking, and if something goes wrong, there's a dispute resolution and compliance process in place. So then actually when this is initiated, you get actually a confirmation or a feedback at your application layer. And the application layer is layer 1. And here I have summarized again actually the full stack of the Agentic Commerce Protocol Stack. Just 6 layers I run you through. You have seen how it works. It's really not complicated. It's step by step. It's nicely distinguished, and it's a straightforward process. Now we have seen all 6 layers, and let's watch them work together in a single purchase. Excuse me. So I'm going to run you through a transaction, and let's put the stack in motion with one purchase. So step 1 on the link, on the left hand side at the top. Step 1, the user tells the agents buy running shoes for under 150 euros, for example. That is the layer 1, pure intent. So here you write down your intent into your chatbot and then you send it off. And then actually we are at layer 2 at the MCP discovery level. The agent connects to the merchant's MCP server. And I talk you through about the MCP server in why it's so important in a separate slide further down below, and discovers what kind of services are available. Step 3, it searches for product catalogs using the commerce protocol, UCP, or maybe the other commerce protocol or any other commerce protocol. And this is running in the MCP server or on top of the MCP server, however you look at it. And then we are at stage 4. Agent and merchants negotiate details, payment methods, for example, shipping options, discounts, figuring out what both sides are supporting at the end. And then at step 5, when the negotiations are successful, the agent calls the checkout API. And then actually the process moves to the mandate. So at the AP2 level, a mandate is signed and generated. And this mandate for the payment is handed off to the step 7, Mastercard or Visa, are processing it. A token is generated, the agent is verified, and the payment is executed through the payment service provider. So this is a standard level of payment with minor differences on a technical side how the payment works. And then we are already or almost through the 8 steps. Then there is the last step, the settlement and fulfillment. So the payment transaction is processed and the fulfillment of the transaction begins. So you will get a shipment, hopefully, at the end. And then actually the process is handed back to your application level through the MCP, and you get a notification as you on your application. Either it's a chatbot or maybe whatever you're using, a platform or whatever. So in summary, now you are an agentic commerce expert. You know how it works. Nothing is magic for you any longer. It's pure logic, step by step. And I mentioned it before that I'm comparing Mastercard versus Visa because both have issued different specifications, how they are going to or how they are supporting the Agentic Commerce Protocol Stack. And you can read it through, and I'm downloading in the show notes, or you can download in the show notes the presentation. But the main difference to memorize it is that Mastercard goes deep into the detail. They have a tight integration. They look at trust and control of the transaction. And Visa, on the other side, is going for maximum reach, if you like to. Openness, neutrality, infrastructure for maximum market coverage. So it's, as I understand the protocol or the specification of Visa, they would like to get out of this of the payment layer and to grab more business around for them. So this is in a nutshell the main differences between both. Both are very active for quite a while in agentic commerce, and I haven't seen anything from the European payment methods, alternative payment methods, which is a shame. So I think they're a little bit late on the table, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I've overlooked something. So write comments, and if you have newest information on some European debit card schemes or whatever other European payment methods, just provide a link in the comments below. So this would be quite helpful. And now, as I promised, I'm summarizing the presentation in just 3 slides. So if you remember something, then remember the 3 slides. You have seen the complete 6-layer protocol stack. So remember this, and you keep control what people talk about. So you will not get confused any longer. What about they talk? They talk either one of the layer or actually they bundle the layers together. But actually in the technology side, on the technical side, they are distinguished. So memorize this one would be my strong recommendation. And then what you have seen is the transaction flow, how everything got in motion. So this helps you really to look at the transaction and to see how they are traveling, how a transaction travels step by step through the 6 layers. And I broke it down into only 8 distinct steps. So memorize this one. It will help you a lot when you are involved or when you try to understand agentic commerce in more detail. And the final slide, this is a new slide. I haven't shown it to you. So this is actually a real world deployment. What the merchant needs to do in order to be part of agentic commerce. Excuse me. So it's very important that the merchant is supporting or installing an MCP server because the MCP server is the interface for the AI agent. So without an MCP server, AI agents have generally a problem to find the inventory, the services, and to connect to your shop. Then expose UCP catalog and your API checkouts. Implement AP2 mandate generation in a checkout response. Integrate, and that's what most of the merchants have done already, Mastercard or Visa, because both are supporting quite nicely the agentic commerce a payment flow. And then actually you as a merchant finally decide what kind of risk you take, right? This is no difference to what you are doing currently. So now I walked you through, you should have a decent and a quite a good and comprehensive understanding of agentic commerce. I think today we have seen very clearly that with a structured approach, agentic commerce is really easy to understand. And with this structure in mind, you can classify all related topics more easily and keep a clear overview of key issues and topics you may encounter. And if you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to Retail Payment IO and share the episodes with colleagues from the payment and banking and finance services. Thank you for listening and see you in the next episode. Goodbye.